welcome.
Hi.
And I'm very excited to get to know you and chat a little bit. Um, Tell me, how are you doing? What's going on in this time of disruption and fear? What are you missing? Just give us an update.
Yeah, well, I'm okay. I'm trying to stay as positive as I could be throughout all of this. Yeah, it's been really weird and, not having a routine for a couple weeks now. It's been kind of sad and I'm, allowing myself to feel that way too, but I'm trying to stay active and doing as much as I can in my living room, taking classes and working out. But yeah, I'm doing okay, I guess.
Yeah. Can you maybe tell us, our viewers, like what in the first place made you want to start dancing?
hmm Well, I was a very active kid growing up, and my parents were like, she needs to do something or else she'll break furniture in the house. So my mom was the one who was like, oh, there's a ballet studio close by to where we used to live at the time. And she was like, let's just enroll her and put her in there and see what happens. And then ever since then, I was just in love with it. And I did not just only ballet, I did like tap and lyrical. I did a lot of other dance as well. But my mom knew that ballet was really important to me. So we just continued on to it. Yeah. And my dad was super supportive too.
That's really interesting that you said that you were just bouncing around, because I too, I'm one of six kids, so like I was always the one running around, and my mom was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
she's gonna be doing something." Energy.
Yeah.
Can you clarify a little bit more? Like, what was it about dance class? Was it just the moving? Was it being in the studio? Was it the discipline that kind of like drew you in? Like, can you just give us a little bit more?
Yeah, I just really liked moving a lot, and I also like learning new things. So it just, because I was again so active and moving around at home, I got to just release it all in the studio, and then I got to meet friends, and I really like that part too. And like I enjoy hearing music and dancing to it, and yeah, and I met a lot of people. So that was my way of like meeting friends at the same time, like getting all my energy out. But yeah.
Excellent. And was there a moment in time where, or a specific memory that you have of the decision that, oh yes, I must do this as a career, and I can actually do this as a career? I think there's two different instances.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was, because I went to competitive dance school at some point too, where I did a lot of dance competitions. So I was very aware of how the dance world was evolving each year, every time I went. And I was like 9 or 10, and my dance coach took me to see New York City Ballet, actually. And they were doing Stars and Stripes, and it was Alexandra Antonelli and Damien Wetzel. And I was like, that I want to be doing that. And that was like the first time I was working on point two. And I was like, okay, I got this. Let's do it. Let's go for it. And my parents were like, okay, let's see where it takes you. And yeah, they were supportive all the way. And I think that was like the defining moment where I was like, this is what I really want to do for a living.
Yeah. The Damien Wetzel, that casting, Alexander Antonelli is always an exciting right?
Yeah.
Like two artists. So I remember watching Alexandra Antonelli understudying Rubies, and she was doing the lead, and she like did this penché with Benjamin Millepied where she like nearly took out her face. But like it was like a final complete, and you know how like the conductor's on stage, and so he had his like music stand, and she like right into the music stand, and like after like nothing happened, and I was like, this is amazing. So yeah, I like how you're drawn to that kind of like fun energy and commitment. Can you let our viewers in on your ethnic and cultural heritage,
Mm-hmm.
and to what degree do you feel connected to it?
So both of my parents are Filipino, so I'm full Filipino American. I was born here in the States, and yeah, I am fully connected to it. My grandparents are still living with my parents, and they came to America when I was around 5 years old when my brother was born, and so they also took care of us. Actually, they all spoke to us in Tagalog, but we had to respond in English because they didn't want us to pick up the accent just in case when we are in school and we end up with a Tagalog accent. I think they wanted us to be Americanized kids, which I was like, that's not fair because I wish I was bilingual in a way. Like growing up, I wanted to respond to them in Tagalog, but it's kind of cool that I know it fluently. So yeah, I'm very connected with my family and our heritage, and I'm super proud and Pinoy about it.
Yay! Explain this so you can understand fully, but you don't get a chance to speak it, or you can
hmm
speak.
I can speak some of it, yeah, but it's like this much. I can speak some of it, yeah, but it's like this much. Yeah.
But if someone were to come up to you and like have a full-on conversation, you would understand all of it. Wow, that's
Yeah.
so wonderfully interesting, and I think that is bilingual.
Half and half, yeah.
Do you get to go back to the Philippines at all? Do you get to travel? I mean, clearly not now in this
Yeah,
time.
not now, yeah. I went when I was really young and to see like my mom and my dad's side of the family, but I ever since then I kind of just been super busy and so have my parents growing up. So I wish I can go see. Now would be a good time, I guess, because I have all this free time, but not really because of the whole virus. But maybe someday I'll go.
Someday be able to get on the phone again.
I know.
So I love that your parents steeped you in the Filipino culture. Do you
hmm
think that your this being steeped in this culture has informed your work as a dance artist?
hmm
It has, I mean, clearly it informed your life outside of dance, but how has
hmm
it has informed your choices?
hmm Um, yeah, I mean, I think Filipino culture too, everyone is super supportive and proud of where we come from. And family is a huge thing, especially with my family. Support has always been the number one. And going through like the ballet world and how competitive and political it can be, I always had my family with me, and they always were supportive, and they always pushed me to do my best and to do what makes. And they always pushed me to do my best and to do what makes me really happy. And so I've always had that in my life, and yeah, I also use it in dance in a way of like discipline and being supportive to my friends and being supportive of myself. But yeah.
Excellent. So now moving on, and
hmm
how do you think the ballet world is doing in terms of race and representation?
I
I mean, like,
I
if it
think
makes
it
it easier, Phil's been asking people, which I've been doing some catch up. Phil's been asking people to give a report card from like A, B, C, D. If you can, they can do it
yeah.
that way.
That's cool. Um, it's interesting. It's been evolving a lot, which is really great to see. Um, but I do wish it could be more, especially I think for Asian culture as well. Like we still haven't really had the real recognition that we are present. Um, but it is still like we are moving forward and it's getting there. But I wish it was more. So
Yeah, well, this is having these discussions highlights individuals with shared backgrounds, and it
hmm
has helped it for me. It's connected me with so many people in our tribe of ballet.
yeah. Yeah, for
And
sure.
it's been just so eye-opening and comforting in this time to not only know that there are dancers. Of course we know that, like, there are dancers all over the globe that haven't been able to do what they love for like weeks now, months now, and probably won't for the foreseeable future. But just to have that shared experience and shared stories, both good and bad, it's reinvigorated me, so that when we do come back, like, I don't feel so alone in this space.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it's like, it's something that I wish I would have had growing up. Like, I feel like I wouldn't have been so angsty, because like one of the big things that I think I've experienced is that, like, I never saw anyone on the halls of like that looked like me dancing.
Yes, I agree.
And I think it's still very, and I think the inner baby Gina that still exists, and maybe for you too, just seeing you is just being like, oh, okay, like, I don't have to carry this burden alone.
Yeah,
it's really, really heartening. Can you share with me, if you haven't, have you ever felt in your pursuit of this art form that you experienced discrimination?
Yes. Yeah. When I was younger, of course, like, you don't really think about that at all. Like, you have that naiveness of, I really just want to dance and I really love it. And ballet was always that to me growing up. So, and I was super dedicated and super focused, and I knew how important this was for me, and I knew how much my parents were sacrificing as well. But as I've gotten older, or at that time when I was in school, I didn't notice that there weren't that many people that looked like me, especially in class and especially in company, or like a company to look up to. There weren't that many people that looked like us. And yeah, it was definitely hard to, when you don't get accepted to a company, and that might be the reason why too. It made me open my eyes more that this is still a thing, and that it was happening during that time for me. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, it is so important for anyone, for youth at any age, who not only pursuing like a career in dance, to like have idols to look up to that resemble themselves. Like, I think that there's something very powerful in that. It's not that you and I didn't have our dance idols growing up, of course.
Yeah.
But how much more personal and how much more special would that have been to been like, oh, well, this person has, like, her dad's Filipino too, and how you see that storyline, and it says it just goes, it just presents like, oh, here's a pathway, instead of feeling like you have to pave the path yourself.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
So you mentioned your parents a lot, and your brother, I believe you mentioned.
Yes.
As anyone else in the family, or how did your parents feel when you got your apprenticeship?
They were super proud, and like, at first, like, growing up, and I was like, this is what I want to be. Of course, my parents were like, the rejection aspect of it, they were really worried about, because of the ballet world and what it traditionally looks like. And of course, like I said, I didn't notice that until as I got older. But when they saw that I really loved it and really went for it and never gave up and pursued it, and they see where I am now, they were like, it was all worth it. And yeah, they're super proud and really supportive and happy where I am now.
Yeah. How about your brother? Does he get what you do? I mean, I know my siblings, they kind of said I want to do the ballet, but not really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my brother was with me throughout it all because, like I said, growing up, I did dance competitions. And so, like, that was like a whole day event. Sometimes you have to like drive all the way to the convention center. And my brother always tagged along because, my parents were like, oh, we should probably bring him to spend more time with him too. And yeah, so like, he never danced and he never wanted to, but he was always with me, and we always shared the car rides together. And yeah, he was a huge part of it too. But he's like in the opposite spectrum of what he wants to do. But yeah.
Oh, that's very nice that he was like kind of there by proxy, but also
Yeah.
still supportive. Like he didn't like
Yeah.
make fun of you, and that's great.
Yeah.
So now being the established ballerina you are, what sort of advice would you give, especially to young dancers trying to pursue a career in dance right now? Like, what a phenomenal, like, change in our industry that's happening. And do you think the same factors, the same sort of techniques that you used could still apply to them today to pursue this career?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think they need to also realize the reality of things. I wish I wasn't so completely naive. I mean, like, yeah, it's good to have that outlook, but you also have to know the realness to it. And when I found out certain things growing up and reasons of why I didn't get hired into companies, or a company that I was really looking forward to, was like very heartbreaking. And at that age, during that time, it's really important to, it's development. And I think for people, for like kids and anyone who wants to pursue this, just to know that never give up. If you are really, really, this makes you happy and this makes you have that joy and that passion, I say to pursue it and, fight for it and be proud of who you are and be proud of what you look like. And yeah.
That's beautiful advice, to be proud of who you are, and there's a certain tenacity that's needed. It's like definitely an ilk required to be a professional dancer, just across the board, no matter what your heritage is. You mentioned an interesting sentence, and I'm wondering if you'd be willing to expand upon it. Like, what was your audition process like? How did you come to finally put down some roots in PMB? Do you mind giving us a, because I imagine that you mentioned a little bit of heartbreak. It would be lovely to share that with our viewers.
Yeah. How can I start this? Well, I was like, my heart was always into city ballet. Like when I was at the school at the time, I was only there for 4 years, which is like the crucial time where you develop as a professional or aiming towards to become one. And I thought, I thought I was going in the right direction. I thought I was doing everything right. And I felt good about everything that I was doing. And then, it didn't happen. And I don't want to go into all the details, but it was basically just that I didn't fit in the right way. And that really affected me, especially at that age. Like you don't know like what to do next, because you're so focused, especially for me, I was so focused into going into that trajectory of being a professional dancer. And at that time I was like, should I just quit and do a normal life of going into, college and not doing what I wanted to do to begin with? And I was very fortunate that I had a connection with Peter Bull at PMB. And the year that I graduated at SAB, he called me. I was in Cheesecake Factory with my family. And I was like, I think Peter Bull's calling me. And my mom was like, oh, you have to go out and like go talk to him. And I was like, okay. I know. I was like, I think this is Peter. And And my dad was like, how does he have your number? I was like, I don't really know. And I just remember talking to him and he was like, I would love to have you be part of the company. I think you're super talented. And, I've watched you and your growth in SAB, and I would really love it if you would just come here and try it out and see if you like Seattle, because I've never been there before. And ever since then, I've been here and I've made a profession here, and I'm proud of it.
Thank you first and foremost for sharing that. It took a lot of bravery, and you did it perfectly and wonderfully. Was Peter still teaching at the school when you were there? Had he already left to become the director of PMB?
He already left to become a director. I think he was there for 7 years of directorship when I first started with him. And so he's been there for a while. But I remember him saying that he's been watching me in workshop, and he has a close relationship with Susie, and I was working with Susie a lot, so that's how I think he got my number. But yeah.
That's wonderful. It's also just like goes to show you, like, to be honest, New York City Ballet was not my first choice. I thought I was going to I really thought I was ending up in San Francisco Ballet. That was and it kind of also harkens to like my first major professional performance that I saw live was San Francisco Ballet. So I was like, oh, Lucia Lacara, like, wow, like that's where I saw people who kind of sort of resembled me. So I didn't even have New York City Ballet on the radar. And then it turns out that like, and it's so much has to do with like timing, and there's so many other circumstances and factors that go into where you ultimately settle, beyond just determination. And what an amazing story that you have, that like it doesn't have to work out how you saw in your mind's eye. And sometimes it works out even for the better.
Yeah, for sure.
How special to have someone call you up and say, like, I've been watching you, and not in a creepy way, but like, I've seen you grow. I followed you through the school, and if this company's not gonna bite, I would love to have you come out here and take a chance. And that's really wonderful. So I think it's like, to anyone out there who's like finding themselves in this situation where they're like, think they have to, it like breaks my heart that you thought you had to give up your entire dream because one door was not opening as you knocked on it. And I think the important thing to realize is that if you keep on knocking and you're that determined, like you mentioned, that a door will open. You might have to knock a little bit longer, but the right door will open for you. And so thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure. Also, it's like, I think too, when he was talking to me and when he called me and when I met him as well, like, I mean, I met him when I was at SAB too, but I also felt so comfortable for the first time that he wasn't looking at me for how different I looked. Like, it wasn't, that didn't define my dancing. And that was super eye-opening too, where I was like, I actually, he likes me for my dancing and for my talent instead of what I appear in front of people, which was very comforting.
It was made very clear to you that it wasn't like a quote-unquote token hire, which was not. And that's really, really special and wonderful. So I'm going to ask you, like, flip it now. The question that I asked about dancers, what do you think the ballet world needs to do? I mean, it's clear we're going to have to switch our models, because I'm not sure how soon we're going to be able to have people sitting next to each other in a theater experiencing ballet. What are your thoughts? And no one's going to hold you to it. But just offhand, how can we build a loyal and definitely younger and more inclusive audience for ballet and dance?
Yeah. That's an amazing topic I think that everyone should be discussing, every company should be discussing. I think what's really great is marketing the right market for people too. I think if you show more diversity, you open that door for other people to see that it's not just one base for a ballet company. It goes to anyone out there. I think that's super important. I also think like now that we're trying this whole virtual aspect, I think that's super cool too, that you get to see hopefully if we all get to be in the studio one day, you can see behind the scenes of that. But yeah, I think marketing is like a really important key, and showing diversity is super important too, because it's not just for one person, it's for everybody. So
yeah. And I think just like opening up, and yes, I'm really excited that people are doing so much virtual work right now, but I think what's so magical about what we do is being in the audience and seeing the occasional blip that a dancer encounters. Like, we are athletes, we're not machines.
Yeah.
And so mistakes happen, but I think that's what I love most about going to see the ballet. I've been doing a lot of reflection into because eventually I'm going to have to answer these questions myself. And I was like, where do I fall on this aspect? I think we need to highlight that the experience it's here and then it's gone. You have to be so present at the ballet, not only as the dancer, but as the audience member. If you're not checked in, you miss the magic. The magic's gone. Yeah. You don't get it home with you. And I think that sort of like adrenaline rush and endorphin producing experience only happens in a live setting. It's really hard to recreate that virtually.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. And I miss that too. I miss the thrill of the one time for that show, and then the next show is completely different. And I miss having that audience see that one side and maybe seeing a different side too. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see if we are able to recreate that sensation and that feeling again, because that's basically what art does to people. It gives you that sensation, not just the pretty, clean, edited version. There are a lot of the in between. Exactly. So I think everyone should also see that as well. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a wonderful, wonderful answer. And we are already at the end of our little question section. I just wanted to thank you so, so much. It is my honor to highlight you as an Asian American during this
thank you.
May. And to our viewers, make sure you check out the Instagram page right now for the reveal of who the next Dancer Chat will be. And tune in at noon for the next conversation.
And thank you for reaching out. This is such an amazing platform you guys are doing, and I'm so proud to be part of it.